How much dividend income can you make / do I personally make with the portfolio stacked to the brim of different dividend paying stocks and ETFs? Well, in this video, I'm going to give you a behind the scenes, under the hood look into my actual 7-figure portfolio, share with you all the positions that I currently hold throughout the portfolio, and most importantly, explain how much money I personally make on a monthly and annual basis with a portfolio this size. So if you want to see an uncensored behind the scenes look inside of a 7-figure portfolio, make sure to drop a like down below, stick around, and let's get right into it. I just finished my brand new dividend investing ebook where I share exactly how I went from 0 to now over 7 figures invested, and also on how I earn more than $6,000 per month in dividends. I also finished my custom dividend tracker that you can use to track your dividend income progress on an ongoing basis. So make sure to grab yourself a copy of my dividend investing ebook and the new dividend tracker today. It's the first link in my description. Now, before we go through my dividend tracker and I share with you every single position throughout my multiple different portfolios, just to be fully transparent and to show you that I actually do own the positions we're going to talk about, this is just one of my portfolios on the TD Ameritrade platform, and as you can see right here, this portfolio is real, it's live. You can see that as of right now, it says I own 1,000 shares of Apple, I own 1,000 shares of Verizon in this given portfolio, etc., just to verify that what we're talking about is real here. But now to get into the fun part, like I said, this right here is my custom dividend tracker, which I track all the positions throughout my multiple portfolios because I do have portfolios on different brokerages, things like TD Ameritrade, things like Webull, M1 Finance, etc. And just as a side note, you can grab the same exact tracker. It's the first link down below in my description. Now, before we go over all the positions in the portfolio, I first want to share with you a brief strategy when it comes to building out my long-term portfolio and where my head's at. So because I'm currently a 31-year-old dividend growth investor that doesn't necessarily want to retire today or tomorrow, but doesn't want to rely on active income necessarily forever, I've spent the last 7+ years now building out a portfolio that not only has the potential to move up in price over time, which it has substantially, at least a lot of positions have, but also my goal was to build out a dividend stock and dividend ETF portfolio that has the ability to pay me a large sum of dividends on a monthly basis, which in the future, sometime in the future, I can use for things like bills, things like travel, etc. And that basically is the strategy with my portfolio in a nutshell. Of course, I can go on and on explaining more detail and why I chose to go that route, and make sure to subscribe to my channel because I do talk about these things in depth quite often. But as the portfolio sits right now, these are some of my positions. Most of the positions have been updated. I do buy stocks and ETFs on a daily basis, so sometimes I don't catch everything. But as of right now, my entire portfolios all together, I currently have 1,748 shares of ticker symbol BDJ, it's the BlackRock Enhanced Dividend Trust. Then we have 1,459 shares of Devo, one of my favorite cover call ETFs. Then we have 1,262 shares of Verizon. We have my 1,000 shares of Apple, of course. qyld, another position I have been adding a little bit more to as of recently. 2,731 shares of qyld. Realty Income, one of my largest single stock positions across the entire portfolio, as you'll see here. 2,848 shares of Realty Income. And side note, I was paid the largest Realty Income dividend in total just as of recently in the month of March, which was awesome. Next, we have 1,248 shares of jepi. We have almost 750 shares of EPD. BST, we have 700 shares still. MPW, we have 611 shares. JEPQ, 507 shares. OHI, we have 300 shares. We have 246 shares of NUSI. We have 194 of XYLD, 575 shares now of SCHD, which of course, if you've been following on the channel, you know that SCHD is a position that I've been trying to grow like crazy over the past year or so. Next, we have 311 shares of Ultra. As of right now, we still have 261 shares of NNN. JP Morgan, we still got our 100 shares of JPM, 293 of Vici. We have 59 shares of KMI, 234 of Matrix Capital. That's when I think I need to update. I did grab some more Main, I think, yesterday. 89 shares of WBA. We have 351 of WP Carry. PNW 47 shares, 255 shares of TSLY, which I'm still currently down on, 24 shares of UPS, Pembina Pipeline 20 shares, we got 18 shares of Arbor Realty, EXR 16 shares, we have 17 shares of SPG, SVOL we have 12 shares, which I do have much more than that, I need to update that as well, 9 shares of Stag, we have 8 shares of T-Row, 19 shares of Kimberly-Clark, almost 3,200 VNQ, Coca-Cola 200, 700 PSA, and 55 shares or so of SPYI, another one that I've been adding to a lot as of recently. So that right there is the majority of all my portfolio's position. If we were to add everything together, which as of right now in total, this portfolio as it sits, and again, this is all estimated, earns me roughly $6,200 every single month or just over $74,000 every single year in dividends. Now, the idea is that over time, I'll reinvest dividends, which is what I've been doing as of currently, and buy more shares of different stocks or ETFs. So the dividend amount will continue to go up without me actually having to make any other outside deposits. But on top of that, I'm hopeful that a lot of the positions inside this portfolio, things like SCHD, things like Apple, things like even Verizon, are going to continue to pay more and more in dividends over time. So that also will help me really compound this portfolio a lot quicker with again the least amount as possible outside deposits. Because I'm just going to be honest here, I spent a lot of years depositing into my portfolios like crazy, and although I'm not against it, and although I still do make outside deposits here and there, I really want to build out a large enough portfolio to pay me enough in dividends to allow me to basically buy a set amount of stocks or ETFs every single day when the market is open without having to make any more deposits. Now, it's safe to say that at this point, this portfolio basically does this with around $6,000 more or less every single month in dividends. I'm able to have enough ongoing cash balance as of right now to make my daily buys without having to deposit any outside money, which honestly has been my dream for a while. Now, what's cool about building out a portfolio, especially if you're in the process right now building your own dividend growth portfolio, what's awesome is that there's so many different stocks, so many different ETFs that offer so many different things, and it's such a personalized journey to meet all the needs within your strategy. But that brings me to my next point. I definitely think, especially if you are a newer investor, or maybe just if you haven't thought about this, come up with some sort of strategy that you're going to follow when it comes to building your portfolio long term. And by no means do you have to stick to that same strategy forever. Even for me personally, I've been investing for over 7 years now, and my strategies still continue to be tweaked here and there every so often. But I do think that it's important to have a general idea of what you want to do, what you want to build long term, so then day by day you can chip away at that larger goal and it won't feel so daunting. Now, for this portfolio longer term, my next goal, in case you guys are curious, I really want to get the portfolio above $7,000 per month in dividends. And here's the caveat, here's the hard part. I want to do this with buying majority of things like SCHD, DGRW, DGRO. But with that, I will also buy some higher yield names like jepi or even SPYI. But for the most part, I want to use a majority of my portfolio's cash balance ongoingly to buy positions like SCHD, for example, that are going to hopefully not only pay me a nice starting yield, but hopefully on top of that, pay me more and more in dividends over time to really get that dividend growth to work and to really get this portfolio to start compounding. So I would say that in the next few years or so, if I can get this portfolio to pay me upwards of $7,000 on a monthly basis, I would be very excited about that, to not necessarily even use a majority of the money for anything as of yet, but just to have more money coming into the portfolio in the form of cash balance, then reinvest, and just have more money to play with when it comes to the portfolio. So now that we went over my entire portfolio, I share with you every single position more or less that I'm currently holding as of right now, and I also share with you my current yearly and monthly total dividend income. I lastly want to hear from you guys down below. What is the number one position as of right now that you're trying to build out in your portfolio? Whether it's a stock or ETF, drop it in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to please drop a like on it and subscribe for more future content like this. Thanks as always for stopping by, and if you are interested in investing, make sure to check out these recent videos I posted right here.